Glad you could join us for our 7:30 news bulletin. My name is Tandi Wimzamara. First, the headlines. Pope Leo XIV invites priests to rekindle their gift of the faith and proclaim the gospel. Deputy Leader of Parliament labels opposition actions indiscipline after house destruction. Human Rights Resource Committee (HRCC) urges rule of law amid calls for Attorney General's resignation. And in our exclusive report this week, Charity Shilanga examines Malawians' responses to President Peter Mutharika's 2026 State of the Nation address, highlighting public expectations, sectoral concerns, and the challenges for government implementation. We do have the details to these stories and more, to stay with us. Pope Leo XIV received the priests of the Diocese of Rome in the Vatican on Thursday and exhorted them to rekindle their fire first lit by God when he gave them the gift of collaborating in his work. The Pope expressed his great joy to meet with them and joked that although Lent has just begun, the audience is not an act of penance. In his address, the Pope identified challenges and priorities for priests, inviting them to let faith sustain them. We have more details in this Vatican News report read by Phyllis Chizombe.
The Holy Father urged the priests not to see themselves as passive executors of an already defined pastoral plan, but to exercise creativity in collaborating with God's work. The Pope acknowledged that often pressed by rapid cultural changes and the scenarios in which their mission unfolds, sometimes burdened by fatigue and the weight of routine, or discouraged by the growing indifference toward faith and religious practice, they feel the need for this fire to be nourished and rekindled. He also exhorted the clergy to working together in communion, emphasizing that they cannot think and act in isolation. To transmit the faith more effectively, the Holy Father encouraged the clergy to explore other pathways that better involve children, young people, and families. In this context, the Pope said that parishes are called to engage in dialogue with institutions present in the area, with schools with specialists in education and the human sciences, and with all those who care about the destiny and future of young people. The Holy Father also addressed young priests, recognizing that they often experience firsthand the potential and the burdens of their generation and of this era. In conclusion, Pope Leo exhorted the priests to live in conciliatory priestly fraternity, encouraging that they accompany and support one another.
Malacca District Council has commended the Catholic Development Commission in Malawi, CADECOM, for introducing the Focus project, which promotes the production and consumption of fortified foods. Speaking at Matola Ground during a community engagement meeting, District Nutrition Officer Flora Nazombe Sangazi said stunting remains a challenge in the district, but expressed confidence that the project will help reduce the problem. We have more details in this report filed by Andrew Nandolo.
Speaking at the Matola Ground on Thursday, Nazombe said the Focus project that is to roll out very soon in the district will reduce stunted growth among children and increase the intake of fortified foods among pregnant women.
In Mbalaga, in stunting, we are at 33.9, and in underweight, we are 14%. So we have a huge task to do to combat malnutrition in our district. So for having this project, we are being assured that it will help us to reduce the rates that we are currently having as a district. And also this program is aiming at providing required nutrients, micronutrients, These are small nutrients that the body requires for growth. So we are glad for this initiative that will help us to combat malnutrition in our district.
Kadecom National Assistant Programs Officer, who is also Programs Coordinator for the Focus, Vincent Tendhani, said the program is sensitizing the communities of the importance of growing and consuming of fortified crops and foods, targeting about 9,000 beneficiaries.
Okay, so the project, we just call it Focus, but what mainly we are looking into this project is that we want to sensitize, we want to bring awareness to the communities so that they should know the significance or the importance of consuming food which is fortified, and also growing crops which whose seeds are biofortified. When we say biofortified seeds, we mean those seeds that have enough nutrients, enough vitamins, enough minerals which the body needs for its healthy purposes. But also we want people to be consuming food which has been fortified. We know that each and every food has 1 or 2 minerals, but also we also know that this food does not have enough minerals, or they don't have a good amount of minerals that the body needs. So the project is emphasizing to say if we have such kind of food, we need to fortify them. But the project also is encouraging, or is promoting one food which we need to be fortifying, that's maize flour. And as the project goes, we are going to bring this to the community through the millers. We have already started engaging the millers who are going to be involved in the fortification of maize flour.
In her remarks, Anne Bennett from Chikuse Village, Group Tembo, thanked Kadecom for the awareness, saying she now has knowledge that orange sweet potato and maize has vitamin A that is required in our bodies. Kadecom is implementing the 4.5-year Focus project in 4 districts of Baraka, Deza, Mulanje, and Tiolo. Reporting from Baraka, this is Andrew Nandolo.
Deputy Leader of Parliament Shadrack Namalomba has condemned what he describes as indiscipline by opposition members of Parliament following Friday's events in the House. During the day's deliberations, 5 legislators were ordered out of the chamber over their conduct during a sitting disrupted by a power outage on Thursday, a move that later triggered a walkout by Malawi Congress Party MCP members and some independent MPs in solidarity. Speaking after the adjournment of proceedings, Namalomba said the conduct of some members undermined order and disrupted the smooth running of parliamentary business. Gift Kaonga was there and he reports.
Parliament resumed on Friday sitting after proceedings were halted due to a blackout that struck shortly before the lunch break on Thursday. When legislators returned for the afternoon session, electricity had not been restored, forcing the Speaker to suspend the sitting. Upon convening on Friday, the Speaker ordered 5 lawmakers to leave the chamber, accusing them of approaching the chair and directing insults at him, a conduct he described as contrary to parliamentary rules and decorum. Following the ruling, Malawi Congress Party legislators staged a walkout, with some independent members also leaving the chamber in protest. Reacting to the developments, Deputy Leader of Parliament Shadrack Namalomba said the government remains committed to ensuring that proceedings in Parliament are conducted in an orderly and respectful manner. He emphasized that discipline is critical in enabling members to debate national issues and pass laws that benefit Malawians, including legislation aimed at economic recovery and improved service delivery. He further urged members of Parliament to respect standing orders and decisions made by the Speaker, stressing that disagreements should be handled through established parliamentary procedures.
Members were given an opportunity to ask questions directly to ministers pertaining to their constituencies, area of agriculture, transportation, education, and a number of areas. And those questions were ably responded to by the government side, by the ministers responsible.
Meanwhile, MCP Whip and Member of Parliament for Mlunduni, Moses Kunkuyu, said opposition members respect parliamentary authority and comply with rulings made by the Speaker even when they disagree with certain decisions. Kunkuyu said members who left the chamber did so out of respect for the ruling, while others followed in solidarity, arguing that the disciplinary action was harsh given the circumstances. He maintained that the opposition remains committed to upholding standing orders and democratic principles, emphasizing the need for transparency and fairness in handling disciplinary matters.
We are honorable members of this House, and we believe that we operate using our standing rules, the standing orders, and we have the Constitution as well as the overarching document that guides our operations. So we are always adherent to those rules. When there are businesses that have been brought before the House, first we are urging our friends on the government side not to pronounce themselves in the manner that they did yesterday, where the leader himself said no standing order is going to sway us to table a certain business. It doesn't work like that.
Despite the incident, Namalomba described the week as productive, saying Parliament successfully conducted key businesses, including debates and ministerial question sessions. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Gift Kalonga.
The Human Rights Consultative Committee, HRCC, says it has noted with concern growing public calls for the resignation of the Attorney General Frank Mbeta following a press briefing issued by the Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiative stated earlier this week. Briefing the media in Lilongwe, HRCC board member Desmond Mhango said the matter relates to allegations said to have arisen during Mr. Mbeta's time in private practice. He noted that the Attorney General reportedly obtained a court order restraining the Anti-Corruption Bureau ACB from investigating him over his conduct at the time. Emmanuel Shuocha has more details in this report.
In an interview, Mhango emphasized that Malawi is a democratic country governed by rule of law, not just by public outrage. He stressed that democracy is safeguarded through constitutional processes and legal procedures. Mhango added that accountability and constitution safeguards must work together. Malawi's constitution does not permit punishment without trial or removal from office without lawful procedures. HRCC further stated that while it does not defend impunity, any credible evidence of wrongdoing must be subjected to proper investigation. The committee maintained that where evidence exists, investigation should proceed, and where appropriate prosecution should follow. However, the rights body cautioned accountability must remain lawful, consistency, and grounded in evidence rather than pressure from public opinion or advocacy groups. It is not yet clear whether HRCC and SIDED will engage in a dialogue over the matter. Meanwhile, Malawians continue to closely watch the development, awaiting to see whether the Attorney General, Frank Mbeta, will respond to a call for his resignation. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Georgia.
Lilongwe Water Board Chairperson Prophet Devon Berry has reaffirmed the board's commitment to protecting the Dzalanyama catchment, where the Lilongwe River, the board's water source, originates. He made these remarks on Friday during a tree planting exercise at Sinyala Dzalanyama, highlighting that to date, 350 tree seedlings have been successfully raised and planted across various locations within the catchment. Charity Shilanga has filed this report.
Mbewe emphasized that each tree planted represents life, hope, and renewal, and called on citizens private sector institutions, civil society and faith-based organizations to join hands in tree planting, seedling production, promotion of alternative energy and the protection of natural and water supply infrastructure. He then reaffirmed the board's commitment to safeguarding the Dzalanyama catchment, expanding access to potable water, and improving community well-being.
We've been doing this every year, so we are just continuing what we've been doing on the ground, being committed to the environment here around Malingunde and around Kamo's Dam 1 and Kamo's Dam 2.
Lilongwe Pirilanjozi, Member of Parliament Peter Dimba, expressed excitement over the initiative, noting that the survival rate of trees planted last year stood at 71%, reflecting strong community involvement and care. He then expressed optimism that this year's trees will receive similar attention from surrounding communities.
Basically the catchment area for the river, and as a member of parliament for this area, I'm very excited because this is for the first time that they're doing this. In fact, this is an annual event, and we are glad that from the trees that were planted, I think last year, we have registered a survival rate of about 71%. So which means that the communities around here are taking very good care.
Senior Chief Masumba Nkunda urged the chiefs, group village heads and residents to ensure the trees are properly maintained, thanking Lilongwe Water Board for the initiative and committing to enforcing local rules for tree care. The tree planting exercise held under the theme Trees for Water Conservation, Water for Life officially commenced on December 14th, 2025, signaling the start of Lilongwe Water Board's annual environmental restoration campaign.
If you're just joining us, remember that you're watching news coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center, and today that you're with me, Tandy Samara. Before we proceed, let's have another look at the headlines. Pope Leo XIV invites priests to rekindle their gift of the faith and proclaim the gospel. Deputy Leader of Parliament labels opposition actions indiscipline after house disruption. Human Rights Resource Committee, HRCC, urges rule of law amid calls for Attorney General's resignation. And in our exclusive report this week, Charity Shilanga examines Malawians' responses to President Peter Mutharika's 2026 State of the Nation address, highlighting public expectations, sectoral concerns, and the challenges for government implementation. Proceeding with the news, Youth Initiative for Community Development has raised concerns over the rising rate of teenage pregnancies in the country. The organization's executive director, Andrew Wanali, has told Luntha television that young people in rural areas face challenges accessing youth-friendly health services due to a shortage of health workers, limited funding, and cultural barriers. We have more details in this report, followed by Constance Kamteneni.
Noted that while urban areas are showing progress in addressing teenage pregnancies, many rural communities lack adequate sexual and reproductive health education, leaving girls more vulnerable to early pregnancies.
There are a lot of factors that are contributing to teenage pregnancies in rural areas than urban areas. Among others, it's about information, where young people in rural areas do not have much information with regards to youth-friendly health services. The other issue is about the long distances that these young people endure to access services. We can also talk about culture, which also contributes to the uptake of youth-friendly health services.
Deputy Director for Reproductive Health at the Ministry of Health, Hans Katengeza, said, the rising figures highlight the need for stronger community involvement. He emphasizes that local leaders should take a more active role, adopting strategies used in major cities where teenage pregnancy rates are lower.
We still have some challenges, especially if you look at some indicators. For example, teenage pregnancy. Instead of teenage pregnancy going down, it is now at 32%. So that alone gives us another picture to say for us to make good progress, what is it that we can do? Since the report is actually showing that the big problem is actually well reflected at community level.
Teenage pregnancies continue to be a serious problem in rural communities. According to the 2024 Malawi Demographic and Health Survey, the rate of teenage pregnancies has risen from 29% in 2016 to 32% in 2024. The survey shows that major cities including Mzuzu, Lilongwe, Zomba and Blantyre maintain teenage pregnancy rates below 20%. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Constance Kamtemen.
In sports, interim coach for FCB Nyasa Big Bullets Gilbert Chirwa has urged his players not to underestimate Goshen City Dedza Dynamos ahead of the Castel Challenge Cup final scheduled for Saturday, 21st February 2026 at the Bingu National Stadium in Lilongwe. Chirwa was speaking during a pre-match press conference at Bingu National Stadium where he said his squad is fully prepared and focused for the decisive encounter. We have more details on this report filed by Patrick Pupa.
Chirwa says his side is ready for the final after booking their place with a narrow victory over Mzuzu City Hammers. Goshen City Dedza Dynamos secured their spot by defeating Blue Eagles FC. The interim coach, Gilbert Chirwa, says he's determined to make history by lifting the Castel Challenge Cup trophy and has confidence in his players' ability to deliver. He added that the entire squad is fit, motivated and eager to showcase their talent on the big stage.
What motivates the boys to deliver is quite a lot. We know the kind of training to give them, and besides that, we also with our officials, yesterday our directors, we talked a lot, and I think all that is a motivation to the boys, and they believe themselves that they can do it. They've done it before. I believe they will do it tomorrow.
Meanwhile, the Dynamos head coach Alex Ngwira says although his team may be viewed as underdogs, they are prepared to rise to the occasion. Ngwira expressed confidence that his side will deliver an exciting performance in the final.
Well, if you look from where we are coming from and the teams who have played against, Greg played against Bullets in a league game. Greg won. Blue Eagles played against Bullets. Blue Eagles won. Karonga at Kamuzu Stadium, we are trading 3-0. They managed to equalize, but when you look at us, we have gone past all those teams that have that were a stumbling block to Bullets.
The winner of the Castel Challenge Cup walk away with a grand prize of 55 million kwacha. For Luntha News, this is Patrick Pupa.
Different stakeholders have weighed in on President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika's State of the Nation Address SONA delivered on Friday the 13th of February 2026 at Parliament Building during the official opening of the 2026-2027 budget meeting. While some praised government efforts on economic recovery and public service delivery, others have highlighted gaps in security, youth empowerment, education, and climate change interventions. In our exclusive report this week, Charity Shilanga examines the reactions, expectations, and concerns raised by political leaders, civil society actors, and development stakeholders following the SONA.
The
address, intended to outline government priorities and progress, drew praise for efforts economic recovery and public service delivery, while also attracting criticism over perceived gaps in security, youth empowerment, education and climate change initiatives. Leader of the opposition Simprex Chicholabanda observed that the SONA omitted critical discussions on national security, noting that ongoing robberies, kidnappings and violent crimes remain a concern. He highlighted that limited attention to local farmer empowerment and the reliance on imported maize could undermine domestic agricultural productivity. Banda also noted that the partial implementation of the free secondary education fails to relieve the financial burden on families and called for a review of mining agreements to ensure Malawians benefit fairly. He pointed out that youth empowerment and job creation measures were largely absent, leaving young people and civil servants without clear prospects.
In summary, the SONA is missing quite a lot of things. For instance, we expected the SONA to address the state of security in this country. There are issues about rampant armed robberies, kidnappings, murder cases. We expected that the president on Friday, the 13th of February 2026, would have issued a strong warning to those that are involved in that kind of malpractice.
Speaking on behalf of UTM, Mwanza Central lawmaker Felix Njawala acknowledged government efforts but stressed the need to address rising commodity prices linked to forex shortages. He emphasized that the upcoming budget should focus on ensuring fair access to foreign exchange to stabilize the economy and reduce inflationary pressures on essential goods.
As a political party, as members of UTM, we will support government on all agendas that change people's lives. We will advise government wherever we feel we need to, and wherever a policy is infringing on Malawians, we will tell them that this particular policy is not a good policy.
Member of Parliament for Lilongwe Msinja South Francis Berekanyama highlighted that civil servants are key to implementing presidential directives. He noted that without adequate motivation, including salary adjustments, civil servants may struggle to effectively execute government programs targeting economic recovery and social development.
Parliament to present the SONA. He has two responsibilities. Number one, to tell the Republic, the 20 plus citizens, the status of the economy, and to provide and suggest solutions to the challenges that he has identified. That's number one. Number two, it acts as a policy card to the National Dialogue Table members. It's like the president telling the members to say, you need to provide oversight. We need to together to discuss how we can address the challenges.
Gabriel Chembezi, Acting Director General of the Anti-Corruption Bureau, described the 2026-2027 budget as a recovery framework aimed at restoring government money to the people and improving service delivery. He confirmed that the Bureau will continue forcing measures to prevent corruption, expedite investigations, and recover illicitly acquired assets, ensuring that public resources reach intended beneficiaries.
If you have heard the President clearly, this is a recovery budget. It's a recovery budget that seeks to restore government's money to the people of Malawi, that seeks to restore development, that seeks to restore public service delivery.
Political analyst George Chaima observed that the president's address connected with citizens by ensuring achievements in economic stabilization, food security, and anti-corruption efforts. He, however, noted that security challenges, including abductions and armed robberies, require clear government strategies to reassure the public.
looking at what the president has said and compare to what I predicted he might be saying, you find that they are in tandem. They are in total agreement. I said that the president, we expect him to connect himself to Malawians and inform them about what he has done since he took over power. And when he took over power, the president has reversed the economic situation that was ailing, and he has put it on a proper, trajectory whereby we can see that inflation now is declining, which means there is economic growth rate being witnessed.
Malawi Health Equity Network Mahine Executive Director George Jobe noted that the SONA reflected significant attention to health sector investments, including increased funding for medical equipment, the construction of district hospitals, and measures to curb corruption in healthcare service delivery. He said these initiatives are expected to improve overall access and the quality of health services.
We are happy. The president has mentioned the dialysis machine at the Zuzu Central Hospital. This was one of the issues we raised, that our colleagues from the north would always travel to Lilongwe to access the dialysis machine. That is remarkable. And construction of a district hospital in the city of Luntha.
National Advocacy Platform NAP Executive Director Benedicto Kondowe welcomed the removal of ghost workers as a positive step, but stressed the need for greater transparency on the numbers and progress, allowing citizens to gauge progress accurately.
It is very comforting, not just for us, but to all Malawians, because we believe ghost workers benefit certain individuals, and it is part of corruption syndicate. So this is a very good news.
Civil Society Network on Climate Change Seasonic National Coordinator Julius Ngoma highlighted that while the SONA addressed economic recovery and food security, it lacked a clear focus on climate change, disaster preparedness, environmental protection, and access to green energy. The organization has urged government to prioritize climate adaptation, resilience measures, and key legislation such as the climate change and meteorological bills to support sustainable development.
Yeah, indeed. Once we heard the statement from the State President, Professor Stephen Parika, Civil Society Network on Climate Change, together with Medjin and Trocare, we reviewed the statement and also listened very carefully to what the President said, and we really commend and also acknowledge, that the SONA.
The SONA has generated broad discussion on government priorities, with stakeholders urging that the commitments translate into tangible outcomes across different sectors. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Joseph Mwanamveka is scheduled to present the 2026-2027 national budget on Friday, February 27, 2026 at 2 p.m., detailing revenue measures and spending priorities for the coming financial year.
And that also brings us to the end of what we had for you in this edition of our news bulletin. But before we go, here's a reminder of the headlines. Pope Leo XIV invites priests to rekindle their gift of the faith and proclaim the gospel. Deputy Leader of Parliament labels opposition actions indiscipline after house disruption. Human Rights Resource Committee, HRCC, urges rule of law amid calls for Attorney General's resignation. And in our exclusive report this week, Charity Shilanga examines Malawians' responses to President Peter Mutharika's 2026 State of the Nation address, highlighting public expectations, sectoral concerns, and the challenges for government implementation. My name is Tandi Wemzamara. Thank you for keeping me company, and do continue following the rest of our programs right here on Luntha TV. Goodbye for now, and do stay safe. Have a lovely weekend.